I was, waiting for everything to open up. Had a lot of time on my hands, so I just figured, well, why don't I write a script about Batman? And I thought, from the perspective that we all went through, the struggles and the kind of challenges of COVID. So I sat down with Final Draft and I wrote a script and I sent it to my friend Steve Byrne in the States and my friend Anthony Murr here, and they were great sounding boards for it and were very encouraging with it. And then I sent it off to my friend Jim Hare, who's a director, and said, what do you think? And he said, I love it, let's do this. So I thought, all right, great. So I figured, well, I'll start making the bat suit. That's where you begin. So I looked on eBay. I found this cowl, and I thought, fantastic. Now, when it turned up 2 weeks later, it was just in a plastic bag. That's when my suspicions started to grow. And when I opened up the bag and put it up on, I knew that that was not going to work. And like they all say that the shoes make the outfit. Well, with a bat suit, the cowl makes the outfit. So I was inspired as a kid back in '89 by Michael Keaton as Batman, the Tim Burton film. I always thought when I was a kid, any friends that knew me from that age, I was talking about, I'm going to make a Batman film. Well, it took me about another 30 plus years to do it. But I then found a guy online who had the original mold of the Michael Keaton '89 cowl, and that's what he makes these cowls from. So I bought it off him. So that worked out. And yeah, so then I thought, all right, I got to make the rest of the suit. So I got some EVA foam and started cutting out the fins for the gloves, and got some plastic dip and covered it with that. And it's crazy with EVA foam. You can just get it and you put a heat gun on it, and then you kind of mold it to what you want it to be. So, and I want to thank Joe Casciotti for giving me his workshop to work in, who also helped out with a lot of stuff. And then my friend Michael, who's like a whiz, Michael Harris, a whiz with with fashion design and also with the sewing machine. So he actually helped me sew together. I bought some gloves, and then he helped me sew it all together and make it together. Then I put on the panda eyes, and bam, I had the suit. So yeah, all right, yeah, sure. I got to tell you, it's weird doing this. Usually, like, I can get up on stage and I'm fine doing it, but tonight I was actually more nervous than I am performing before showing you this thing. So it's so to let you know, no, I did not outsource a 3-year-old to draw these pictures. This is my ability at doing a storyboard, which I sent across to Jim, and see, you'll remember some of these classic scenes from the film, and then I thought, I got to scout some locations around Sydney. So Martin Place, the fountain there from The Matrix, and then for Superman. So I thought, well, it's good for Batman. So that's what inspired me to get the fountain scene in there. And then my favorite store going into the city was Comic Kingdom on Liverpool Street. And so that's why I thought, well, I want to pay homage to that now that it's closed down. And the area for the Wayne Manor was Government House, which I put together there. And then our first shooting day actually was that scene in Government House. That's Jim, the director. And then as we're filming it, my wife Erica was there just standing by, keeping a lookout. And she's like, oh my God, I think there's a ranger coming towards us. And a ranger came up and gave me a fine dressed as Batman. And that's Batman with his Visa card, handing it over to the ranger. But we got the shots that we needed, so that was the main thing. And then the next one, we'd go out. Basically, it was just Jim and I. This was like, I was telling Jim earlier today, he's like the director, Robert Rodriguez. He doesn't need it. He's a one-man crew. It was just him and I taking off into the middle of the night into the city, filming stuff. And there's Dimitri, one of the stunt guys who did a fantastic job, yeah. And then I was opening for Arj at the State Theatre. So I went on, did my opening 20 minutes, ran off, quickly got into the Bat's outfit, and then Jim and I ran around filming as Arj was doing the gig. So that was great to be able to get access to the State Theatre and get those. So thank you, Arj, for that. Appreciate that. And then just to briefly go through the characters, my inspiration for the Joker was Cesar Romero. I used to love him in the 60s show, so I put on the outfit. That was actually Erica that did the makeup on that in the kitchen. And it was weird because we went to Jim's place to film it, so I got some weird stares from the tradies in the morning as I was driving. See, that person's trying to jump into a dumpster in the background. Yeah. And then there was also the Mr. Freeze from the 1960s series. And so I wanted everything, even though I was only on screen as Mr. Freeze for like a matter of seconds, I wanted to make everything authentic in this film. So I, with the help of Joe in the garage, we made up, went to Bunnings. And most of this, everything was built through going to Bunnings or Spotlight, really. And there we go, we put it together. And that's where I ended up as Mr. Freeze. And then also for Bane, I did some. I got the mask, and it was Briar that helped me out with the prosthetic makeup for the characters. Here we have. I'm rushing through this because we've got to get out of the cinema soon because there's another session. So there's the Penguin is Danny DeVito, and I thought, well, I've got to find where this prosthetic is, and I managed to find a place in the States that had an original mold off the original prosthetic. So then there I am looking like that. So there we go. I ended up there as the Penguin. Now, little things too, the little details in this, like you'll see that the shoes that were used in the '89 film were made from a pair of Nike Air Trainer 3s. So that scene when Dimitri does the roundhouse kick on me and I catch his feet, that's the same shoe. So for any like the Bat nerds out there, you know, they'll appreciate that. And also for the card, Jack Nicholson's Joker card, I was able to track down a replica of that. So that's also shown in the end there. And then the biggest question that I've had for people I've been telling about this is, how the hell did I get the Batmobile for it? And I discovered that there's a guy, Zach, who's a lovely guy. I'd never met him before. I just cold called him and explained what I'm doing. He built a Batmobile. This guy's unbelievable. He built a Batmobile himself. And I called up, I explained what I'm doing, and he's such a cool guy. He said, mate, whatever you need, I'm on board. So we went over, and it's weird going into someone's garage and seeing the Batmobile just sitting there. So Zach, you're here tonight. Thank you so much. And Zach's a great guy. He does so much help for charities with the Batmobile, and he's and in fact he was going to bring the Batmobile tonight. He said this will be fantastic. You know, we'll put it out front, but I didn't want him to have it towed during the show. So there's no parking. I wish we could have done it. And just you might have seen the artwork for this. The artist that did it, Jason Sealer, he's unbelievable. I called him up in the States. He's a friend of mine, Steve Burns, and I spoke to him for about an hour and a half on the phone about what I'm doing. And he says, "Yep, let's do this." So and he's like a real accomplished artist. Like he does like multiple covers for Time magazine, and they're actually paintings that he did for the cover of Time. He also does Mad magazine. And so that was the artwork that he did. And just to give an example of what an amazing artist that Jason is, this is the sketch that I sent as a reference for it. So that's incredible, really. So I have to say this would not have been possible without the great director, Mr. Jim Hare. So I want to welcome him up for a few minutes for the Q&A. So please welcome Jim. Here we go, buddy.
Thanks, bud.
Thanks, thank you. Well, thank you. We did it. We made it work. So Jim and I, like I was saying, we just basically would take off at all hours of the night into the city, into the empty streets of the city to go and film stuff. Like one of the and also like the train scene. We wanted to figure out when we could shoot on the train. So I called up a contact, Eddie, who works with the train authority, and I said to him, look, do we need to get permission for this, or do we just get on and do it? And he said, let me check. Let me take it up the chain of command. He just called me back and said, just get on and do it. Don't ask for permission. So we basically jumped on. I looked on the code because it needed to be an old train. So jumped on the one that going to Heathcote. We jumped on that, got the shot. Actually, there's one guy that was coming down and went, oh shit, and turned around, just walked back up. So we had a clear carriage for the whole time. But we got the shot right in time. So we just bailed. So I'm the Batman jumping off at Strathfield, and then we just took it back into Central.
The train was still moving.
The train, yeah, it was miraculous. And then there were other shots that were, what were some of the other ones? The laundromat.
The laundromat, yeah, because Joel spent I mean, Joel, if you know Joel, he's an amazing producer. So he organizes everything in advance. He went to this laundromat, spoke to the owners. Can I get permission? Yeah, you can shoot in here. We get there that night, and what happened?
Yeah, the lady's like, who are you? And I'm like, we spoke on the phone. She goes, no, that wasn't me. And I'm like, you screwing with me? And she's like, no, you can't film in here. I'm like, we have to film. I called up. So then she called the owner, and the owner's like, no, I don't. I said, look, I'll pay. I'll give you like $150, whatever. No, we don't want your money. Get out. So they threw us out. We then was driving along through Enmore, and there's a laundromat. So we just pulled up. I popped my head in there. There's no one in there. It's one of those self-serve. So we went, screw it. We ran in there, got the shot, and then took off again. So,
but just before we were done, one lady walked in, and she saw a naked Batman just sitting in a laundromat. I think in Enmore she wasn't surprised.
No, just putting it in. Psychos. and then the alleyway scene, and the weird things that work to our advantage, like because that alleyway scene, I kept on coming out of the shadows, and we kept on filming it, and it was just too dark. It wasn't really bringing my features out. And honest to God, there's one shot where I just turned out, and this car then turned off into the alleyway, and the headlights came up and caught Batman's eyes and brought it all into focus. And
there's so many gifts in this movie that just kind of happened. But another interesting thing that night, because that was the night we had the most people there. We had the stunt guys, we had the stunt coordinator, Erica was there. We were in the middle of filming, and some actual cops pulled up to the end of the alley, and they stopped, and they sat there for about 3 minutes, and were like, okay, that's it, they're shutting us down.
They put on the light.
Put on the light, yeah.
Up there, and the crowd started gathering around the Batmobile, and we're like, what the hell are we going to do?
Yeah, and then suddenly the cops just went, woo, Batman, and drove off. Yeah. Only in Sydney, only in Sydney.
So that worked, and then so basically it was just us. This was like a real passion project because we did, as you can probably tell, we spent a fair bit of time on this, and especially in the editing process for it and the voiceover work on it.
But it was really interesting because, as Joel said, it was literally 90% of the time just the two of us, and that created a fantastic atmosphere. For one thing, we could work incredibly quickly. I mean, we've worked together for 15 years, so we already have a shorthand. We have the same sensibility. Joel says, this is going to work. I just believe him. But when we'd get to these locations, and it was just complete guerrilla. It's like, any cars coming, red light, okay, go.
Yeah.
And it created an amazing sense of energy, which I think comes across on screen. But when you have a big crew, it's actually quite cumbersome, and everyone's doing their thing. And then when you're finally ready to shoot, everyone's a little bit sleepy, and then you get this kind of boring take. But ours, we had no choice but to just kind of keep it moving. So it was really interesting to have that energy.
Just as you were saying that, it kind of made me think of the Beatles in Hard Day's Night when the car opens and they just roll out of it, get the shot or whatever, and then take off again. It was that kind of filming, but it was great working with you, Jim.
Oh, and you too.
I know I haven't told you that before,
but
it was. But it was great having that dynamic. Like we could both read each other, so if something needed to get done, or if we had to do it right, then bam, we're straight into it. And so it was a joy. But I wanted to field it out. Do you have anything more?
No.
I wanted to field it out. If anyone has any questions, just throw them out here, and we'll try to answer them to the best of our ability.
Did you consider Batman getting JobKeeper?
Well, yeah,
that's an interesting point. Joel and I had long conversations about this, and the biggest thing is we never wanted it to turn into a skit. Hey, Batman's mowing lawns. Batman's doing this, and the furthest we stretched it was the redneck buying the Batmobile.
Yeah.
And we thought, okay, that's as far as we're going to go, and then we're going to pull it back. But that was a very conscious decision not to kind of go too far over that line.
Yeah, because I wanted to maintain, sort of. Well, he gets steps in dog shit and has milkshakes thrown at him. But I wanted to maintain a kind of like a kind of credibility to him. Like I didn't want him to break character, for him to actually do anything that might be a bit kind of weird. But I know it's weird that he's in the bat suit lying in bed and Alfred's below him. But my thought for this was, here's a guy like all of us. We all had those desperate thoughts during lockdown when we couldn't do the jobs that we wanted to do, and we sort of questioned our sort of purpose, what the hell we're doing. And for me, the motivating factor for him keeping that suit on was, if he takes that suit off, he's just Bruce Wayne, and he may never put the suit back on again. So he doesn't want to take it off, because that's his last thing that he's sort of hanging on to maintain some identity as Batman. So, yeah.
When do we expect a sequel?
The sequel, I don't know. I guess the next lockdown.
Next pandemic.
Yeah. When the monkey flu comes, we'll do that. Sorry, what was that up the back?
Are there any fan film festivals you can enter
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I think so. But I was talking to my mate Steve in the States, and he was saying, look, you can put it into festivals and you wait around. And said, look, just get the thing out there. That's where people are going to see it. He said, just put it up online and let the public see it. And he said, you're going to get more views doing that rather than wait. And I feel too, the longer I wait with this, people are going to give out the COVID.
That brings up another point. A lot of people have asked us, what's your ambition with this? What do you want? We never had an ambition with this. No. We just wanted to make it for its own sake, and we just wanted people to see it. We don't care. Well, we don't need accolades. We just wanted to make it and put it out there.
Yeah. That's what Artie, our manager, he said the other day. He said, so what do you want from this? And I said, I don't know, just for people to see it. Yeah. So that's what was that?
No one's sick.
No one's seen this yet.
Okay, all right. Let me save up some more money. Look at this guy.
I forgot to tell about ice cream takes.
Ice cream?
Yeah, when they're throwing ice cream at you.
Oh yeah.
What you takes?
Oh yes. The milkshake.
Oh
yes.
Okay.
Good point.
When I first got the script, I read through it. Yeah, we could do this. There was one scene that terrified me. Batman walks down the street. A van pulls up. Someone out of the van swears at him, throws a milkshake, which flies through the air, lands on him right in front of the camera. And now this sounds simple, but it's one of the most complicated shots you could do. The camera's moving. The van has to be in the right spot. A million things had to add up. And we spent months avoiding this scene. Should we shoot the milkshake? No.
We'll do it next week.
We'll do it next week. And then we finally broke it down into elements. And how are we actually going to do this? And what we decided to do was have the van drive up. The driver then throws the milkshake over Batman's head. And we have someone standing on the step ladder who then dropped the milkshake at the perfect time,
right.
Which is also incredibly complicated if you think about it, because everything has to be in the same spot.
So, and there had to be no traffic on the street.
Yeah.
Either. So between lights.
So the same guy holding the milkshake was out in the street, red light, jump up, van go, and we rehearsed this probably for 90 minutes?
Yeah, totally. So Michael, who played the homeless man very convincingly, he was in the homeless getup. Then he jumped in the van, backed it up. My manager, Andrew Lang, he jumped in because he's got that iconic laugh.
That's his actual laugh.
Yeah. And so he's timing, and it was we rehearsed it for hours, right? It was like a 4-second shot that took 4 hours of rehearsal to get it down, and then on the final shot, we've got to do it, right? So it's going along, and he pegs the thing, and it splatters all over me, and then we're like, well, where the hell's the cup? And the cup was inside of an apartment block behind 2 closed doors. And I remember looking, going, how the fuck did he do this? And it was perfect timing. For some reason, as he threw it, those doors opened, that went in, and then they closed again. So we're on the other side of the glass going, well, how do we get it back?
It was a security building. We had to wait for someone to come out to get our cup back. Yeah. But when it came down to it, we literally had, because we knew we were just going to ruin the suit. This was the last shot, and we knew we had one shot at it, and then just... Yeah,
the gods of film were looking down on us.
It's surprising that was the most complicated shot
of the whole thing. Yeah, and then Andy had the worst bruise for 4 hours of leaning out of the van all up the side of him the next day. But thank you for that question. Thank you. Yes, Paul.
The production design for the cats.
Spotlight.
Spotlight. Literally, all this stuff was just going to Spotlight and just buying stuff, ripping it open, with some of the stitching, the capes and stuff. Thankfully, Michael helped me out. But when it got to this point where the cats was one of the last things, I just fucking gaffer taped that together and put bobby pins and stuff, and we just pounced around. And Erica did the makeup on it and. Yeah.
It only had to last for 6 minutes, and we got our shots.
Yeah. It was each take we're taking, it was falling apart more on us. Well, I think we got 2 more minutes till we wrap up. So just to let you know, by the way, we're all going to go downstairs. There's an area downstairs for us to go down to where we can all catch up and have a chat. But any final questions before? Yes, Dimitri. But that's Dimitri who did the roundhouse kick and got kicked in the face. Unbelievable.
Batman after the movie?
After the movie? Well, that's what the thing is. He wants to get back to normal, and that's, he's back to his normal now. So, the Joker's back. That's why the one moment in the movie that he does grin, it's like, all right, I'm back, bitches. You know, that's the kind of attitude of him from that. And also too, now I don't know if you made the connection, but he's talking about seeing the musical Cats and seeing a little girl there, and then Catwoman at the end turns up as the Uber driver to pick him up, who he just missed. But you know, the world's open up again, so he'll finally, you know, meet the love of his life at some point. I'm sure. Yeah, she'll find him. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming along. We're going to clear out. I'll see you downstairs. Thank you. Yeah, good work, buddy.
Good job.
Yeah,